Good afternoon and welcome back to the Irish Barista Championships 2025 here in Bewley's on Grafton Street. We have our next competitor ready to go, so can we please welcome our wonderful judges? Round of applause. Michalis, Rasmus, Mariusz, Marcielo, Bailey, Pavel, Renata, and our shadow judges. Welcome, judges. So our next competitor is Ian Kissick of Formative Coffee. The floor is yours. Say time when you are ready.
Thanks. Music, please. Okay. Time. Technology is changing the way we live our lives and the way we do business, and coffee is no exception. So today, the theme that I'd like to explore together is technology's impact on coffee. And we can begin by looking at the customer experience. You see, we can use technology to create more immersive environments for our guests, drawing them deeper into their journey with coffee, which is why I built this table with its embedded displays. I'll act as a helpful guide through our time together. Please refer back to them throughout, as they'll reinforce my message to you. And you'll see on there that your order for today has already come through. We're going to start with espressos, then milk drink, then signature drink. We're using two different coffees, but for now, let's just focus in on that espresso course. And as you can see, this is using a coffee from Mi Finquita in the Chiriquí region of Panama, produced by Tessie and Radibor Hartman. Now, this exemplary, naturally processed geisha, like many Panamanian geishas, has floral characteristics, which are delivered in the cup as a flavor note of white florals. And that high altitude, as you can see on screen, of 1,650 to 1,900 meters above sea level means a slower than usual maturation of cherry, resulting in more complex sugar, carbohydrate, and lipid development, and therefore more complexity overall in the cup. Now, complexity and florality are two things I wanted to preserve when roasting. And I chose to roast this coffee on the Roast L100 Plus precisely because of its AI-enabled automatic crack detection system, which made it really easy for me to achieve uniform development time across all of my roasts. And as you can see on screen, my target DTR here was 14.8%, because that's where I perceived the most complexity and plurality in the cup. And I also chose a relatively short total roast time of 4.5 minutes, extending the glass transition phase and increasing porosity and solubility without sacrificing clarity or texture. Now, if we've sourced exceptional coffee and we've managed to roast it well, the next step is, of course, to brew it. And for your espresso course, I'm using an 18-gram dose, a 34-gram yield, and a contact time of 30 seconds. It's a recipe designed to maximize sweetness while maintaining balance. And I'm brewing at 92 degrees Celsius, as that's where I perceive the most complexity and florality in the cup. Now, as I've worked with baristas over the last 8 years, I've realized that one of the biggest struggles they have is understanding how resting roasted coffee can affect peak flavor intensity. You see, different roasting machines and different roasting methodologies result in very different releases of CO2, and therefore optimal brewing time post-roast. And so I've set out to use technology to create a simple solution to this complex problem, which I'd like to share with you today. You see, when we place roasted coffee inside a sealed chamber with a CO2 monitor and track the release of carbon dioxide over time, adjusting for other variables, we can understand better when a coffee peaks. You can see this particular coffee, roasted this way, its degassing chart there on the right-hand side. And this is interesting, it's kind of useful, but it becomes particularly valuable whenever we actually add in sensory information, which is why my team and I cupped this coffee and 16 others roasted just like it every 12 hours post-roast for 3 weeks, looking particularly at flavor intensity. And as you can see on screen, what we found was that flavor intensity peaked between 12 and 36 hours after the CO2 release stabilization point. That's the point highlighted on the graph when that pink line of CO2 release begins to flatten out. And so I brought this coffee to you right at its peak of flavor intensity at 98 hours post-roast. And I'd love to share with you what you can expect as a result of that. Now, all the sensory information for this course And the other two courses will be shared on screen. But let me run you through it now. And you can refer back to the screens if you miss anything. We'll have white florals as flavor note, blood orange, grapefruit, and Assam tea. Meanwhile, for your tactile, the weight will be medium to low, and the texture will be juicy. Now, once I serve your espressos, I'd like you to use one of your clean teaspoons to stir front to back 3 times to fully incorporate the crema. And you can put your used teaspoon in that green glass in front of you. There we go. I'll give you approximately 40 seconds to evaluate, and then we'll come back together for our milk course. Thank you. There you go. There you go. Thank you. Okay, another 10 seconds or so on those espressos, judges. Now for our milk course, we're using a different coffee. When you ready, judges? All right. For our milk course, we're using a different coffee. This time from the Antioquia region of Colombia, and in particular from Finca Jaragual. Here, the pink bourbon varietal combined with its wash thermal shock process result in espressos with citrus fruit characteristics, some tropical notes, and a lactic character. I've roasted that coffee with an 18% development time ratio to maximize solubility, and I'm brewing with an 18-gram dose, a 36-gram yield, and a contact time of 30 seconds, as that's where I perceive the most flavor intensity. Each of your single espressos is paired with 40 grams of my chosen milk, which is the ratio at which I perceive the most harmonious balance between the two ingredients. And the milk that I've chosen is the result of 3 years of research. See, back in 2023, my team and I decided to go on a mad project where we tasted 186 different coffees, both as espresso and then in combination with 14 different milk bases, scoring and describing each of those drinks in a similar way to how you're doing today. We used that data to train a basic but powerful machine learning model which can help predict the optimal milk for any given espresso. Now on screen in front of you, you can see the resulting application that I built. On the left is my description of this milk as espresso, and on the right, the application's recommended milk. Now I had to test still and use my own common sense and sensory ability to discern whether this was the right milk to pair with it, but I found that it worked really well. It was a blend of 70% minor figures oat milk, freeze distilled to 45% of its original volume, combined with 30% of a high-fat Jersey Herds milk. Overall, this is a milk which brings a lot of fat and sugar content, leading to balanced milk beverages. I've steamed that milk to 52 degrees Celsius, which will result in a drinking temperature of 46 degrees Celsius, where I find the most sweetness in the cup. And again, I'll highlight all your flavor notes, but you can find them on screen in front of you. We'll have apricots, milk chocolate, marzipan, butter biscuits, and hints of salted caramel. Now again, for your milk course, I'd like you to stir, this time in a circular motion, gently, 3 times, and then deposit your used spoon again in the green glass. Thank you. So far, guests, we've seen the impact of technology in creating exceptional customer experiences, in roasting more consistently, in understanding how resting roasted coffee can affect peak flavor, and in this course, in crafting truly exceptional milk beverages. In our final course, the signature drink, we'll consider one further application of technology and then reflect more broadly on its implications for coffee. But for now, just enjoy. Thank you. Okay, judges, another 15 seconds or so on that course. All right. Great. If we could come back together now. Now, for our signature drink, I trained artificial intelligence using all of the sensory research and data that I could find. We then worked together to create a new repeatable framework for crafting exceptional espresso-based signature beverages, which are completely reliant on the coffee. And it's a framework that I'd love to share with you today. And you can see on screen the 3 pillars of this framework. We start with aroma. And because I'm sharing this pink bourbon, same coffee as our milk course, same recipe, which has been chilling in here, this coffee as an espresso has stone fruit and floral aroma. Part 2 of our framework is tactile. Here we have a medium weight and a silky texture. Part 3 of the framework is flavor. We here have mandarin, passion fruit, and a lactic characteristic. So, part 1, aroma. Here we're looking to add ingredients that share the core aromatic compounds of the underlying espresso rather than just adding in new ones. So I found that peach was an ideal component to add because it shared the same levels of the key fruit floral monoterpenes, linalool and geraniol. So, as you can see on screen, we took 500 grams of peach, chopped, and added 1 gram of pectin X, that's an enzyme that breaks down fruit fiber, and 150 grams of sugar. We blended that together for 10 minutes, and then strained through a paper filter for 12 hours. Now we'll come back to that in just a moment, but the effect of its addition to this espresso transforms that note of mandarin into a new flavor note of nectarine. Now the second part of our framework is tactile. Here, you remember we had a medium weight and silky texture. And what we're looking to do in the framework is look at the weight of the coffee and apply a technique depending on that weight. Now you can see on screen there is a range of techniques that we can apply, but when we have a medium weight, we use fat washing. So I chose to fat wash that peach component with brown butter. I wanted to fat wash the peach component because it'll bring through more of those volatile aromatic compounds. And I chose brown butter because of that lactic characteristic in the espresso. To make brown butter, we place unsalted butter in a pan over a medium heat until brown specks form. We then combine parts 1 and 2. So we take that peach juice, 300 grams of it, as you can see on screen, and combine with 100 grams of brown butter. We mix it well and put it in the fridge. After 12 hours, we can take it out, remove the fat layer that's formed, and then pass through a paper filter. Now, what we have is this fat-washed peach juice. And when we add it to our espressos, we firstly achieve that modulation described in part 1. But we also maintain the silky character, which otherwise I was losing through the introduction of trace lipids through fat washing. And we gain a juicy character coming from the peach. Now I've added 80 grams to that, by the way. The final part of our framework, of course, is flavor. What we're looking to do here is add contrasting flavors, which we determine using another AI-based tool called flavonomics. We input our description of this coffee as an espresso, its flavor notes, and this uses sensory science and machine learning to suggest potential contrasting and complementary flavors. I had to then use my common sense again and sensory skills as a barista to actually taste all of those, and I found that coconut was an ideal addition because it transformed that note of passion fruit into a note of candied pineapple. So today, I'm adding 15 grams of a coconut orgeat, which I made, as you can see on screen, by roasting 100 grams of pineapple shavings for 5 minutes at 100 degrees Celsius before mixing with 1 liter of room temperature water for 24 hours. After that, I blended everything together and strain through a paper filter. As I mentioned, that addition brings us that new flavor note of candied pineapple. Now, to mix, you might have seen that I just swirled together in a hyperchiller and poured into these glasses, which were chosen to emphasize the medium weight of the signature beverage, along with 60 grams of ice. That ice provides dilution, which aids in flavor clarity, but also brings our drinking temperature down to 8 degrees Celsius, where I perceive the most complexity. Once more, you'll see those flavor notes on screen. Please wait until I call time to evaluate, and then just take 2 big sips. So your flavor notes will be candied pineapple, nectarine, and maraschino cherry. Judges, it's been a joy to share with you what technology can do for coffee. Thank you. Time.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Ian. And congratulations again for making it through to the final. So you utilise a lot of technology and AI today. Do you think that is something that's going to become more prevalent in the future of coffee and competitions?
I don't know about coffee and competitions, but coffee for sure. And I think like at the moment we have a big debate around automation in particular, around hospitality experiences. I think whenever we look at, for example, super automatics, you can look at it 2 ways. You can look at the potential to use super automatics to free up labor to create more immersive customer experiences, or you can look at it at saving labor, so firing people. And like I think there's a really positive way of viewing technology across the board, all the way from green through roasting to every aspect of coffee. Like we're going to be at some point radically affected by coffee. Even espresso, like espresso machines, are a form of technology that really rapidly allow people to serve coffee quickly in Italy. So I think technology is here to stay, and I think the pace of innovation is going to like increase over time.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing.
Pleasure.
Any other words that you have today, or any other thank yous before we let you go?
Just thanks to Nick and Maya again for putting up with me. Yeah.
Incredible. Thank you so much again. And we'll be back with you for the next competitor. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle.